Hello everyone, it's me Uncle John. Today I am going to read at 66059 chapter 3. Miss Frizzle lifted up her locket to show it to Peter. It's made from the wings of a flutterby. Butterfly, she said, laughing at her own mistake. We all laughed too. At that moment, she must have accidentally pressed a secret catch or something because the locket opened. We froze, waiting to see what would happen. At first, nothing did. I knew that locket wasn't really magic, said Ralphie. He walked away to look at a beautiful shiny butterfly called the blue morpho. Isn't this interesting, class? Said Miss Frizzle. She thinks everything is interesting. There's some pink powder inside the locket. Now we gathered around and held our breath with excitement. Arnold was standing right next to the fridge. He looked like he was about to explode. And when he couldn't hold his breath any longer, he breathed out really hard. When he did that, he blew the pink powder out of the locket and all over us. Some of it even got on Miss Frizzle. Luckily, none got on Peter, who had turned to look at the blue morpho. When Peter turned around again, all he saw was our field guides in a pile on the ground, and Miss Frizzle's locket lying on top. He kept looking around and saying to himself, "Where did they go? Where did they go?" But we hadn't gone anywhere. We had turned into butterflies. Isn't this wonderful, class? Said Butterfly Freeze. Miss Frizzle always gets very excited when we turn into something. Now our field trip is really taking off. At first, I was afraid I wouldn't know how to fly. But when I saw all the other kid butterflies, even Arnold, flying around from flower to flower, I decided to join in the fun, and there was a lot of it. Just imagine flitting around the garden all day and drinking sweet, delicious nectar from flowers whenever you get hungry. Have a sip. Each of us was a different kind of butterfly that probably wouldn't happen in nature because the same kinds of butterflies usually stay together around the same kinds of plants. But here in Butterfly Land, all kinds of butterflies could hang out together. From our tour with Peter, I knew that Keisha was a blue morpho and Arnold was an owl butterfly, but I didn't know what the other kids were. I didn't even know what I was. So I asked a freeze. She looked around and said, "Well, let's see. If I remember my butterflies correctly, Carlos is a tiger swallowtail. Wanda is a painted lady. Tim is a red admiral. DA is a zebra longwing. And you, Phoebe, are a monarch. What are you, Miss Frizzle?" I asked. "Good question, Phoebe," she said. "Tell me what I look like." "Well, your wings are mostly brownish, orange with a black stripe and little white dots around the edge," I told her. "You look sort of like a monarch, but not as brightly colored." "Sounds like I'm a queen butterfly, Phoebe," she said. Then she flew away. I started to follow Miss Frizzle, but all of a sudden, something seemed wrong. When I tried to remember what kind of butterfly each kid was, I only counted 7 kinds. There should have been 8 of us. Someone was missing. Ralphie. "Ralphie, where are you, Ralphie?" I yelled, but no one answered. When the other kids heard me, They all started calling Ralphie's name too, and so did Miss Frizzle. But no Ralphie. Where could he be? Asked Tim. Hey, I have an idea, said Wanda. Remember when Arnold blew the pink powder out of Magic Matilda's locket? Oh, you don't have to rub it in, said Arnold. Well, you did, Arnold, said Wanda. Then she went on. Ralphie wasn't with the group. He was over with the Peter, looking at the blue morphle. So you mean Ralphie didn't get any pink powder on him? Asked Carlos. But then he'd still be a regular kid, and we'd be able to see him. Or maybe he just got a little on him, said Keisha. Not enough to turn him into a butterfly, but just enough to turn him into a caterpillar. We all yelled out together. I love it. When those butterfly brains go to work, said Miss Frizzle. Come on, class. Let's see if we can find Ralphie on one of these leaves. There were so many plants in Butterfly Land. I wondered how we would ever find Ralphie. Then I heard Tim shouting, There he is. That's him. How can you tell it's really Ralphie? Asked Carlos. A caterpillar wearing a red baseball cap? Said Tim. Who else could it be? I spotted Ralphie. He was a prickly, spiny-looking black caterpillar with lots of legs. He had rows of orange spots along his back and sides. He had blue dots too, and he was wearing his red baseball cap. Creeping caterpillars. Caterpillars look like worms, but they are not. Caterpillar is the larva stage of a butterfly. Its head has two short fillers. Its mouth is different from a butterfly's because it's made for chewing leaves, not sipping nectar. Ralphie was on the green leaf of a plant with yellow flowers. The leaf was near the ground, near the entrance to Butterfly Land. But before we could say anything, Ralphie, red baseball cap and all, crawled through an opening under the door and was gone. Chapter 4. We have to find Ralphie. We just have to, said D.A. According to my research, it's very dangerous for him out there. Most caterpillars don't even live long enough to become butterflies. Then she studied listing all the animals that eat caterpillars: birds, moles, mice, ants, toads, wasps, spiders. Okay, we get the idea, D.A., said Tim. There are lots of predators out there that might think Ralphie is a tasty snack. We have to figure out how to find him before you know what. I knew D.A. and Tim were right. We had to get Ralphie back to Butterfly Land where he would be safe. The first thing we have to figure out, said Wanda, is how to get out of Butterfly Land. We're too big to fit under the door the way Ralphie did. I looked outside, wondering how to get out there. That's when I spotted Liz. Hey, you guys, I called to the other kids. Maybe Liz can help us get out. Yeah, she did get us into this mess in the first place, said Arnold, remembering how Liz had made the bus turn into a butterfly. I didn't want to say anything, but Arnold sort of blew it too. Just saying Liz's name got her attention. Get us out of here, Liz. Carlos called to her. Just then, a whole class of kids that had been lined up outside came in through the entrance door. After the last kid was inside, Liz held the door open just long enough for us to fly out without anyone noticing. Now we could start looking for a caterpillar wearing a red baseball cap. But first, we needed to come up with a plan. We settled on a big rock that was warm from the sun to figure things out. This feels so good, said Wanda. I feel like I'm getting more energy, said Tim. I was feeling kind of tired before. A place in the sun. Now I could see why Lee's favorite place to sit was on a rock in the sun. After we sunbathed, we folded our wings straight up over our bodies. Anyone walking by would hardly have noticed us there because most butterflies' wings are not brightly colored on the bottom, only on the top. And it's the bottom part that shows when the wings are folded together. Most of us, they blended right in with the rock. Uh-oh, birds, said Tim. We could hear them twittering in the bushes nearby. Don't they eat butterflies? We had all been so worried about what could happen to a caterpillar outside the safety of butterfly land. We had forgotten one important thing. Lots of predators like butterflies too. We had more than birds to worry about. Bats, wasps, and of course, lizards like to eat butterflies. When we were human kids, we were on top of the food chain. Now we were a lot closer to the bottom, which was pretty scary. You can take it from someone who's been there. Since only some of the kids had wings that blended into the background, Miss Frizzle had them surround the ones who still stood out like me. Fortunately, the birds didn't bother us. Miss Frizzle or you could say Madame Butterfly told us why. You are camouflaged. Camouflage is when an animal blends in with its background so predators don't notice it. Life is splendid when you are blended. Then Arnold had a good idea. Peter said that most caterpillars only like to eat a few special kinds of leaves. The leaf Ralphie was on was part of a plant with yellow flowers. If we can find plants like that, maybe you can find Ralphie. Rightly reasoned, Arnold, said Butterfly Freeze. And for your information, the name of that plant is toadflax. So we flew off to look for toadflax plants, and soon we found some. Ralphie wasn't there, but someone else was. On a tree above us was a whole flock of birds. This time our wings were spread out, so we weren't camouflaged. Before I could say, butterflies flutter by, the birds were swooping down on us. I couldn't figure out why they weren't chasing Miss Frizzle or me. Then I remembered I was a monarch, the kind of butterfly birds don't like to eat. The Freeze was a queen, one of the butterflies that looks like a monarch. But Arnold was in big trouble. Hey Arnold, look out, I yelled. A really big bird was coming right at Arnold. Its huge wings were flapping and its pointed beak was wide open. Help, screamed Arnold. Somebody do something. But we couldn't do anything to save him. The big bird was getting closer and closer. I covered my eyes so I wouldn't see Arnold get turned into bird food. My heart was pounding when I heard Keisha yell out, "Flash your eye spots!" I peeked through my fingers just in time to see Arnold flip up his wing and show his eye spot. Lucky for him, he was an owl butterfly. Those eye spots on his wings scared the bird away. He must have thought that it was looking into the eyes of a big fierce owl instead of at the wings of a harmless little butterfly. I breathed a sigh of relief. Arnold had just barely escaped. Well done, Arnold, said Miss Frizzle. Now that's what I call learning by doing. The end.